Hey guys, it's Sasha. Over the last year, ARK Investment and Cathie Wood, who is the CEO, have become so trendy that entire markets seem to swing based on what she has to say. The company went from having $3.1 billion under management at the end of 2019 to over $50 billion just a few weeks ago in February 2021. Cathie's achieved some kind of cult status in the world of investing, and everyone wants to talk about her. Everyone wants to listen to what she has to say. Everyone is fascinated by the concept of what she's doing, how she's doing it. The markets listen to her, and the fortune of entire companies seems to be dependent on her opinion and what her particular fund does in terms of their investment strategy. But why is it? Why is it that this one fund manager seems to have such a big say when her portfolio across all the different ARK investment portfolios is just less than 10% of the market cap of just one company like Tesla? And why is the opinion of her suddenly seemingly more important than the performance of Tesla itself? Now, let me give you a bit of background. Cathie Wood founded ARK after working in the industry for quite some time. The funds invest based on different themes, and the most popular fund out of the different ones that they offer is the ARK Innovation ETF, symbol ARKK, which seems to have gone completely bonkers and everyone wants to put their money into it. It is really easy to see why this is happening. The fund grew a whopping 152% during the course of 2020. That sounds completely bonkers given that regular, some actively managed funds during the same period have managed to deliver single-digit results. Naturally enough, everyone wants a piece of this. Everyone wants their money invested in it, and the fund is growing rapidly. But here is my problem. Now, I have no doubt that Cathie and all the people who work at ARK are incredibly smart and make incredibly smart investing decisions. I am not saying anything to the contrary. I am not trying to cast any kind of shadow. Far from it. But just look at their portfolio and you'll notice that there isn't anything mystical or mythical or crazy or weird about it. It is a pretty robust tech-based portfolio that invests in tech stocks that happen to grow a huge amount of percent during one of the biggest tech bull runs we've ever seen, maybe the biggest one we've ever seen in the history of stock markets. Tesla is more than 10% of the entire fund. I think at one point it was like as high as 11, maybe even 12%. And there are a number of other rising established tech giants. Let me list a few: Square, PayPal, Twilio, Nintendo, Twitter, Zoom, and many others. Now, all of these companies exploded in 2020 for different reasons. And if you had any of them in your portfolio, then your portfolio will also have exploded in a big way. I know I did, and I am not some kind of investment guru in any shape or way. Now, let's look a bit further back. If you were to invest in a fund, you'd probably want to see some continuous results over a long period of time in order to ascertain, long-term performance and ability to manage the swings of the markets. You wouldn't want to invest your money into something that is a flash in the pan, right? So what did ARK do before their crazy 2020 run? Well, they returned a very respectable, in fact, a really good 19% per year on average before that point. That's really good. I mean, that is a really great result, but it's not quite the 152% that everyone went nuts about. It's also over a period when there were no crashes, there wasn't any massive downturn in any particular tech industry, and we had a huge unprecedented tech boom. Depending on when you were invested in the fund as well, it is really important to remember that 3 years out of those 5, they returned less than 4%, with one of those being a loss-making year. Yes, that fund did beat the S&P 500 significantly, which returned only about 10%, just over, on average, over exactly the same period. But while the S&P 500 just had a tiny wobble over the last month or 2 months during the sell-off of the tech stocks that has happened, ARK is down over 22% as it stands, after recovering from being far further down than that. Hey, I am not claiming to be anything at all. I am down a lot too. My investment portfolio has lost a ton of value over the same period because predominantly I share a lot of my investment philosophy with Cathie and with ARK. I'm not actually in any way really different in that sense. But here's my point. We've had a fund manager who has done exceptionally well for a period of about 12 months. The fund has done really well by banking on high-risk companies that have done very well during a period when those types of companies happen to grow massively and there's not been any crashes or any kind of bear market periods. Now Cathie is on every single TV show out there, on every single TV channel, and everyone takes her word as gospel. We have sort of a Warren Buffett Mk II situation where suddenly every decision that she makes is a decision that everyone else wants to make, because naturally enough, she has attracted so much kudos and so much credibility that everyone wants to emulate what it is that she does. And yet, entire funds, the entire sum of the funds that are under management by ARK, are a tiny fraction of what a market cap, as I mentioned, of just a single company like Tesla is. And Tesla keeps posting insane updates. They are posting market-defeating results. They are building some of the biggest factories ever built on this planet, ever in the history of mankind. Just take that into your thinking. This is the kind of thing they're doing, but that is not interesting enough for CNBC, and nobody seems to really care, because they go and sell off that stock by that company who is showing you that and telling you those things like, it doesn't really matter. Now, I am not a financial advisor, and I can't provide financial advice to you. This is just my personal opinion. But there wasn't any real actual news that caused Tesla stock to go down by 40%. It was caused by a bunch of different market macro scenarios and effects. But yet we don't seem to value the fundamentals in the same way that we value the opinion of somebody who goes and does a big 45-minute video and everyone watches it and suddenly markets begin bouncing back. I'm confused. I do find it, however, really interesting. We live in an age where the cult of personality is so big that people get fascinated by other people to some unfathomable degree. Now, I do guess it is sort of a weird transposition of maybe a somewhat natural human reaction. We're far more driven by what some people out there say than maybe by even our own thinking, or by the numbers, by the fundamentals, by things that are facts. Sure, a lot of these people do sound incredibly impressive and do run companies that manage billions of dollars. But make sure that you don't get blinded by perceptions. Those people have their own views and opinions, and they may be good, but they may also not be good. And in some years, they will return 152%. But in other years, they'll lose 2%. The exact same people with exactly the same mentality and exactly the same knowledge. And we haven't even seen what this, for example, fund does in a real, proper, big market crash yet. Don't just blindly follow what you hear on the internet or what some famous investor says. Make sure that you understand exactly what you're doing with your money and exactly what you are investing in. I can tell you that there are a lot of other funds and other Cathies out there who are managing them who haven't had their crazy year, but maybe they will have it next year. And maybe next year, Cathie Wood's ARK will not. The problem is you don't know the names of those people, neither do I, and you won't know them until they've made it and until they're sitting there. So make sure you do one really important thing. Whenever you're doing investing, make sure you do your own research. Always check the numbers, always check the facts. Don't invest in anything that you don't understand. And definitely don't invest in anything that you can't go and explain to somebody else using normal words and feeling like you actually understand it yourself. Don't trust schmucks like me who sit there on the internet telling you what you should invest in or what you should do, because I can tell you one thing. The people who make billions from investing, the people who are really good at it, don't sit there all day making YouTube videos. Stay safe out there. The markets are jumping up and down. We have big tech companies who are gaining 10% or losing 10% or even more per day, at the whim of just weird people saying stuff and random Twitter stuff and all kinds of things like that. Things are incredibly volatile, and nobody knows what's going to happen regardless of what they say.